The Roseto Effect. Extract from the Outliers book by Malcom Gladwell. These people were dying of old age. That's it. Roseto Valfortore lies 100 miles southeast of Rome in the Apennine foothills of the Italian province of Foggia. In the style of medieval villages, the town is organized around a large central square. For centuries, the paesani of Roseto worked in the marble quarries in the surrounding hills or cultivated the fields in the terraced valley below. Walking 4 and 5 miles down the mountain in the morning and then making the long journey back in the hill at night. Life was hard. The townsfolk were barely literate and desperately poor, and without much hope for economic betterment until word reached Roseto at the end of the 19th century of the land of opportunity across the ocean. In January of 1882, a group of 11 Rosetan men and one boy set sail for New York. Those immigrants, in turn, sent word back to Roseto about the promise of the new world. And soon, one group of Rosetans after another packed their bags and headed for Pennsylvania. Until the initial stream of immigrants became a flood. In 1894 alone, some 1,200 Rosetans applied for passports to America, leaving entire streets of their old village abandoned. The Rosetans began buying land on a rocky hillside connected to Bangor by a steep rutted wagon path. They built closely clustered two-story stone houses with slate roofs on narrow streets running up and down the hillside. In the beginning, they called their town New Italy, but they soon changed it to Roseto, which seemed only appropriate given that almost all of them had come from the same village in Italy. In 1896, a dynamic young priest by the name of Father Pasquale de Nisco took over at Our Lady of Mount Carmel, the church of their town. De Nisco set up spiritual societies and organized festivals. He encouraged the townsfolk to clear the land and plant onions, beans, potatoes, melons, and fruit trees in the long backyards behind their houses. He gave out seeds and bulbs. The town came to life. The Rosetans began raising pigs in their backyards and growing grapes for homemade wine. Schools, a park, a convent, and a cemetery were built. Small shops and bakeries and restaurants and bars opened around Garibaldi Avenue. More than 1,000 factories sprang up making blouses for the garment trade. In 1964, a study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association examined the population of recent Italian immigrants in Roseto. The study was initiated because the town doctor was completely shocked by the Rosetans' near immunity to heart disease. During the 7-year period of study from 1955 to 1961, no one in Roseto under the age of 47 died of a heart attack. There was a complete absence of heart disease in men under the age of 55. The rate of heart attacks in men over 65 was half the national average. The death rates from all causes was 35% lower than anywhere else. The doctors started asking themselves what could possibly make the Rosetans so healthy. First, they looked at diet. They thought the Rosetans must be eating a healthy Mediterranean diet of fish, olive oil, and fresh vegetables. Actually, they ate high-fat meatballs and sausages, with an average fat intake of up to 40% of their entire diet. And the fats weren't your healthy type of fats. For the Rosetans liked to fry all of their food in good old lard. The researchers started looking at their lifestyle. The Rosetans were very hardworking, and a lot of them worked in slate quarries or mines. As for leisure time, the Rosetans loved their wine and cigars and consumed a lot of both. To put it in a nutshell, they ate like shit and worked like horses in harsh environment and conditions, yet their hearts seemed to be stronger than their contemporaries. The researchers studied all other possible factors such as ethnicity. They checked other relatives in other parts of the country. None of them were as healthy. They also checked water supply, environment, you name it. In the end, the researchers concluded that the unusually low incidence of heart disease in the town could not be attributed to any of these factors. However, they noticed a remarkably close-knit community that was cohesive and mutually supportive with strong family and community ties, where the elderly in particular were not marginalized but revered. Put simply, the Rosetans live in a village community with real relationships with one another. They were not only self-sufficient, but they were also a relatively egalitarian society, in appearance at least. The life centered around the church, and the wealth was not flaunted by the wealthier, and those in more need were helped by the community. There were more than 20 different civic associations for a population of only 2,000. There was no suicide, no alcoholism, no drug addiction, and very little crime. They didn't have anyone on welfare. Their extended family clans and their common identity made it easier for them to relate to one another and keep this closeness and intimacy. The books Mutual Aid and Tribes are a must-read if you are interested in this phenomenon. It is very clear to me that we have lost something essential in our modern society. It is pretty obvious that relationships are more superficial, and at this point we all understand that loneliness and isolation are rampant. But what we have failed to notice is the effect it can have on our health. For crying out loud, those Rosetans were doing everything you are not supposed to do to remain healthy. Everything we were taught about fitness, diet, and relaxation. They were very hardworking, cigar smoking, wine consumer, and fat kind of people. You would think that that would be enough to annihilate a whole population. No, they actually turn out to be healthier. The community, the collective, the proximity, and the depth of care and compassion between the Rosetans made them healthier than others who have succumbed to the modern way of life. In the 1970s, there was a suburbanization of the region, including the town. Single-family homes, fenced yards, country clubs were brought in. The social ties weakened and then started to fail. It took until 1971 for the first person under age 45 to die of a heart attack in Roseto. So the Rosetans joined the rest of the United States. The Rosetans are not what they used to be anymore. Here is something to think about. Please comment, write down below your struggles and what subjects you want to learn about. Please help us make better content for you guys. Subscribe and click the bell button to be notified. Stay in touch with us. Videos come out every week. Don't miss them. Thanks a lot for your support. Get one or more of our ebooks. Some are free, some are almost free. Either way, you will benefit tremendously from them. Check the link in the description box below and don't forget to be inspired and inspire.